A young man named Kwan Yu, who was formerly a national taekwondo champion and an athlete, now spends most of his day playing games at an internet cafe. He is unemployed, but his gaming skills are exceptional. In an online game, his character, Captain, is highly skilled and has a group of close friends and teammates who call themselves Resurrection. He always helps other gamers by being Captain and doesn't even care about his own lifeline while helping others. One day, after a gaming session in the internet cafe, he finds a smartphone nearby with an incoming call on it. He attends the call, and a girl speaks out on the other side. She says that she had left her mobile at the cafe and now wants Kwan to deliver the mobile to her house. At first, Kwan is resistant to leave his gaming, but when the girls ask to give him $300 for delivering the phone, Kwan agrees and goes to the owner's apartment to return it. At the girl's house, when Kwan reaches there, he sees that the door is open. The girl is taking a shower in the bathroom. Kwan talks to her from behind the partition. The girl asks him to leave the mobile on the table and also take the money left there. So, Kwan acts accordingly, and before leaving, he advises the girl not to leave the door open as it could be dangerous for her. The next day, when Kwan is sleeping in his room, suddenly, some police officers break into his house, and Kwan is arrested and accused of killing a young girl. Kwan doesn't even get the time to digest what is happening around him. His hands have blood on them. Also, the weapon of murder is in his room, stained with blood. The evidence seems irrefutable. The murder weapon is in his house, his fingerprints and DNA are in the apartment of the girl, and the apartment security camera has footage of him. Even his semen is present at the murder site. He is accused of forcing a minor girl twice, and then killing her by stabbing her in the abdomen and neck multiple times. He becomes viral in the media within no time, making the whole public hate him for doing such a gruesome act. The mother of Kwan, who works as a nurse, rushes to the police station when she hears the news about her son, but she is not allowed to meet her son. Later, we see her spreading the flyers in the public that her son is innocent and he is being framed in the murder case. But the public is convinced that Kwan is the murderer, and that's why people don't take Kwan's mother seriously and even tease her. Then she tries to ask for help from the public legislative Mr. Min, but he is not sure about Kwan's innocence because the evidence against him is strong. After some days, the case is heard in the court, and all the evidence against Kwan is presented there. Following pressure from the media, the court swiftly finds him guilty and sentences him to life imprisonment in a maximum security prison. He is not even allowed to be set free on parole, and he also has to serve in the rehabilitation facility for 5 years as the court thinks that being a gamer, he can have perversions. Everybody thinks that gaming for the whole day and unemployment made him depressed, and that's why he committed such a heinous crime. He is then transported to a high-security prison in the darkness of the night. In prison, Kwan is like an innocent child between terrible criminals. There, one day, he catches the attention of gang leader Ma Duxu, and a prisoner fetches Kwan to him. Prison guards are watching the scene and know that Kwan is going to be beaten now, but Ma signals them not to disturb them for a while. So, on the first day, Kwan is beaten badly, but he also reacts and punches Ma in his defense. This makes Ma angrier, so he and his men beat Kwan a lot. When the guards come to settle the dispute, Ma blames Kwan for beating him, so Kwan is sent to isolation for 30 days. When Kwan comes out of isolation, 2 prisoners come to him and pretend that they are on his side as they are against the gang of Ma. But in reality, they are perverts, and they want Kwan to tell them the story of his crime. They want to know how he killed her after forcing her. Kwan doesn't say anything and leaves them. Later, Ma and his men again caught Kwan and beat him a lot. They also inject him with something, which makes Kwan eat his own flesh from the arm. He is beaten regularly all his time in prison. One day, his mother visits him in the prison along with legislative Mr. Mi. She is worried about the pretty bad condition of Kwan, as she knows that Kwan is having bad times inside the prison. She can estimate this by seeing the wounds on Kwan. She tells Kwan that she is going to meet someone who knows Kwan's alibi. So, she assures him that she is fighting for his freedom and encourages him to endure the hardships of prison a little more. She says that she doesn't want to be the mother of a rapist, and also Kwan should not live the life of a rapist. These words move Kwan's heart. After that, Kwan again goes inside and starts living the prison life with new zeal and zest. But the process of his beating by the gang of Ma continues. One day, on the dining table, he is helped by a sympathetic inmate who gives Kwan an herb to rub on the wounds. He believes that Kwan can't be a killer, and also Ma would have known that Kwan is not the killer. That's why he is again and again beating him, taking him as an easy target. So, Kwon decides to fight back and show that he is not someone who can be subdued so easily. One day, when Ma's men come to beat Kwon, he hides himself and makes a weapon using pens and paper. He beats Ma's men one by one, and then, in the end, attacks Ma, making him unconscious in just one hit. The following day, Mr. Min comes to see Kwon and tells him that his mother has committed the unthinkable. He also shows the death certificate of Kwon's mother, on which he needs Kwon's signature to allow the district office to arrange the funeral. Kwon is also not allowed to attend the funeral. Mr. Min says that Kwon's mother committed the unthinkable after being teased by the public. This news breaks Kwon completely, but his mother comes into his dream at night and gives him a hug. The following day, Kwon remembers that he does not have to live the life of a rapist, as he has promised his mother that he will remove all charges from his head. So, he attacks Ma on the ground, and also stabs himself during the fuss. After some time, he is taken to the hospital in the prison mobile. Suddenly, Kwon wakes up and starts fighting with the guards. He points a pointed object at the neck of the chief guard and demands the keys to his handcuffs. The guard gives him the handcuffs, but the police mobile meets with an accident, injuring everyone inside. Kwon somehow manages to set himself free of that vehicle. When he is outside on the road, the chief guard points his gun at him but then drops it. Maybe he also knows that Kwon doesn't belong in prison. That's why he allows him to go and live his life. Kwon goes through the woods, hiding from everyone's eyes. He steals some clothes and continues running haphazardly. It becomes a national emergency to catch Kwon at any cost. On the run, Kwon sees a foreign couple with a malfunctioning car on the road. They were in a hurry and needed to reach the airport. Kwon helps them repair their car and, in return, gets a ride from them. They don't know about Kwon and are soon leaving the country. So, they even give their car to Kwon and ask him to get the money after scraping it. Kwon uses the car and drives himself to the city. He goes to the office of Mr. Min, the public attorney who defended him. Kwon had no other place to go. That's why he has come to Min's home and believes that Mr. Min will understand the situation with Kwon. Min gives Kwon his mother's necklace, saying he will re-examine his case files and also revealing that he has already contacted the police. He wants Kwon to turn himself in again, but Kwon runs before the police come there. Later, Kwon reaches an internet cafe to watch all the articles on his name. Among all the negative news against him, Kwon sees a documentary explaining that Kwon was wrongly convicted of this murder. The writer has questioned how Kwon could force a person twice and stab her multiple times in just 3 minutes of his visit to the building. Also, he reveals that many of the evidence were tempered in this case and wrongly managed. Seeing this documentary, Kwon sighs for a bit. Actually, the writer is Mr. Harry, who used to play games with Kwon under his captaincy. Meanwhile, Kwon is contacted by Mr. Harry, who is actually a girl in real life, and her name is Yeowol, one of Kwon's resurrection teammates. She tells Kwon that the manager of the cafe is going to call the police soon, so he should leave that place. Later, she asks him to meet her at a diner. After meeting her there, she takes Kwon to her hideout on the city outskirts. She is living there alone, hidden from the world. Also, she is a computer nerd and spends most of her time on the computers. She makes good food for Kwon, which Kwon eats by heart as he has been for all that time. They are soon joined by his other teammates who want to help Kwon as he used to help them in the game always.
외로운 청춘들의 지방대학 건축과 교수인데 반백수의 나날을 보내고 있는
Yeowol has researched the case and found many irregularities in the supposed evidence, and gathered the team to help Kwon clear his name. The team examines recent high-profile violent crimes similar to the case of Kwon, and via security camera footage, finds a particular truck parking close to all crime scenes. Yeowol checks the documentation of that truck, which is actually registered in a scrapyard. So, Kwon pays a visit there secretly. He sees 2 men there carrying a large case in a vehicle. So, he chases them and reaches a building where they enter the apartment of No Jun-young, a rising TV actor. Surprisingly, he finds his corpse there in the large case that those men have carried from the scrapyard. Hiding in a corner, Kwon witnesses a team of specialists creating a crime scene at the apartment of No. They are even faking their fingerprints, putting their hair on the mats and a lot more. Unknown to Kwon, the apartment is being surveilled by Legislative Min, who is the mastermind behind all the framing. No's real killer is found to be the daughter of a wealthy businessman known as Chairman Chu, who hires Min to find a scapegoat so that his daughter would not get into prison due to this murder. After that, we see Mr. Min has a secret place in his building that can be accessed only by his facial recognition. There, using a massive intelligence-gathering supercomputer hidden in his apartment block, Min finds an appropriate candidate as a scapegoat for Chairman Chu's daughter. It is a girl named So who has no connection with No and is living her life completely ignorant of what is going to happen to her. Meanwhile, Kwon takes a photo from the apartment of No and asks Yeowol to scan the fingerprints on it. He also wants to know who Min is going to trap this time. After some time, Yeowol has reached to So. In the meantime, Min sends a team to drug So and collect her hair, saliva, and blood that they used to fake the crime scene. Later, they lure her to No's apartment by making a call. But Kwon is also tapping So's phone and identifies the voice on that call as the same one who had lured Kwon to the crime scene earlier in his own case. Similarly, Kwon's victim was killed by the son of a wealthy client, and Kwon was made the scapegoat. After that, Kwon goes to see the girl whose voice he had heard earlier on the phone. He attempts to kidnap that girl, but she flees away with someone on the motorcycle. When Kwon is giving chase of that girl, his car again malfunctions, and he is caught by Ma, who is freed thanks to Min manipulating prison records. Now, Ma takes Kwon to an abandoned place and starts torturing him. He wants revenge from Kwon for the attack at the prison, but Yeowol sends a SWAT team there, mentioning that Kwon is present at that place. Kwon gets the advantage of the scene and runs away. Yeowol takes him into the car and drives him to safety. While driving the car, Kwon wonders how Ma found him. Then Yeowol finds a tracker inside his mother's necklace and realizes that Min is involved in the case and has given him this necklace to track him all the time. So, Kwon throws that necklace away by putting a stone at his heart, as this is the last thing of his mother in his possession. Later, Kwon's team makes some drones and sends them to scan the building of Min. They are sure that there must be a high-tech computer inside to fetch so much data from the public. And luckily, their suspicion comes true, and they find large computers in their scan. Kwon also destroys the crime scene which was set up by Min's men at the apartment of No. So, Min asks his people to wipe out the apartment and create the crime scene at some other place. Kwon even destroys the vehicles of Min's men carrying the material for fabricating a crime scene. Then we see the daughter of Chairman Chu who is hiding in a hospital pretending to be a patient. She wants to come out soon, and for that, Min has to complete his work earlier. That's why Chairman Chu puts pressure on Min to complete the task given to him. When Min fabricates the crime scene to another place, Kwon uses Min's plan to lure Chairman Chu's daughter to the crime scene, and in this way, makes her the culprit. Soon, the news goes viral, and Min's plan fails badly. At his apartment, Min receives a call from Kwon who tells him that now Min is going to be exposed in front of the public. Min is a psychopath, and he enjoys that someone has finally come to challenge him. He claims that it had been boring to fabricate the crime scenes again and again. Now, he is getting some challenges from Kwon, so he is excited about it. While Min is still talking, Kwon cuts the phone, which makes Min angry, but when he sees outside, his secretary is dead. He understands that it was a trap, and now Kwon is in his apartment. Min quickly runs towards his secret place, but Kwon reaches from behind him and hits him hard. He beats him again and again inside his high-tech supercomputer facility. There, Kwon checks the computer of Min and finds out that there are a lot of videos of fabricating crime scenes. Even the video of Kwon's fake crime scene is present. Kwon also finds the videos of his mother there, who was protesting alone against the framing son in the murder case. Here, Min reveals that Kwon's mother did not commit the unthinkable, but Min killed her because he was causing trouble with protests. This revelation makes Kwon angrier and he starts beating Min even harder. After beating Min up, he begins transferring Min's data including surveillance footage of his victims and call logs with his client using Yeowol's thumb drive. Then, suddenly, Ma calls Kwon and tells him that he is going to kill Kwon's team. Min then reveals that Ma is at Yeowol's safe house and has captured his teammates. If Kwon doesn't reach there to save his team within 30 minutes, Ma will kill them all. Unable to wait for the data transfer, Kwon rushes back to save his teammates. During his drive, Min calls Kwon and tells him that he is going to use Yeowol as a scapegoat for his next operation. So, he sent his specialists to take the DNA and other evidence from Yeowol. Back at the Yeowol safe house, Ma tries to shoot at one of the Kwon's team members, but misses the target. Suddenly the lights go off, and Kwon has reached there in time. Luckily, he beats all the men of Ma using his exceptional fighting skills. After that, Kwon's team rushes to a TV station, evading Ma's gang, Min's subordinates, and the police. On the way, they learn that Min has manipulated the media into painting Kwan's team as a psychotic crime ring. After reaching the TV station, the other team members distract their pursuers while Yeowol sets up her equipment at the command center. She is going to air the truth about Min, but eventually, everyone except Yeowol is captured at the hands of the police. Kwan's car is also surrounded by police mobiles, so he comes out of it by raising his hands. Everyone is watching all this live on the big screen. Min is also happy after watching this, but suddenly his happiness changes into sadness as his command center shuts down, and he realizes Yeowol's thumb drive is still in his computer, and it has now finished its job sending all the data on air. With the evidence found in Min's computer, Yeowol put together a presentation. She blocks the TV station's regular broadcast and begins presenting the facts, detailing Min's involvement, his clients, and how they framed their victims. Also, the case of Kwan is shown live in front of the public. Seeing all this, the public realizes how much they were wrong about Kwan and all the other victims who were in prison at the time. In the aftermath of these visuals, Min tries to escape in his car, but the steering wheel of his car is removed by Kwan's team. Soon, Min is arrested, although it is implied that there is a greater force behind him, which is still hidden from the public. Kwan and his team are cleared of all charges and let go. Min reaches the prison and meets Ma there, who is also angry at Min. The foreign couple got their car back in a much better condition than he gave it to Kwan earlier. In the final scene, Kwan's group is at a gathering, chatting and eating happily while Kwan is remembering his mother and smiling.